I would go and cut this and go flush. And I mean, if you really want a nice tight 90, the best way to do it is glue contour. But in this case, if you get a nice hot air weld, all you're going to do is you're going to put about 4 inches on the deck. So I would cut it flush, trim, cut the bottom flat. So you got your risers coming in, just cut it flat, match it with the extra that you're going to use. Yep.
And then the strip that we put over the top, we need to tab it at all, or just lay it right into place and do that little mini curve.
Yep. Don't worry about it. Saving the trim piece.
Alright, so let's, I want engineering standards on this. Engineering standards.
Kick this corner.
No, we're supposed to cut up pieces so that we'll have time to
I would nail
And then we'll do our inner edge, okay?
Oh, that's even better.
I think pretty soon we're going to have to start rolling those into these ones because we want to cut
Actually, I already cut some.
Okay. Oh, we have the
Yeah.
Get it? Yep. Make sure the nails are
yes.
No, that's we still have shields.
We're here at the Ecoroof Portland conference.
We need to get one more box installed. Hey, Chris Pierce.
Come on, Chris. You're on camera here. Come on, don't embarrass yourself on camera.
He's doing well. Yeah.
There you go, Chris.
So you want to get this out of the way and then start building another
Why
one?
don't you just build the next one right next to it?
Just build the next one.
So put the 7 up to this one, right?
All right.
Come on, Aaron.
Why did we build 2 walls? What is happening with these walls? Is it going to have some weight?
Yeah.
Did we want to engineer
Guys,
it, right?
put it up.
All right.
So we'll go like right
Put it
here.
up all the way right now. There we go.
So we want to.
Oh, thanks.
So yeah, it's kind of like what you guys do.
Got it?
Ballasting system, a lot of different systems out there, but the ballasting system, you don't have to mechanically fasten it down. All you're doing is using the stone, river rock, or pavers for weight to hold the system down. That's just a different type of system.
I see.
And in this case, you can do this a different way. You can actually have pavers that line the parapet all the way around the system for walking. You can use, aesthetically, you can use rocks just to be a barrier in between the two as a divider. And then, of course, you put your greenery or your Ecoroof in the middle wherever you want. Good water management system. It's a ballast system on top of that. So there's a lot of different applications. There's a lot of different applications. But it all boils down to codes you're dealing with. You've got a balancing system or mechanically fastened or barbecue. And
So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you, like when the camera's rolling, your name, and if you could spell it out. Give me your absolute job title, your affiliation, so that we have that on the head.
Okay.
And our editor can throw in the title.
Okay, perfect.
I'm going to ask super basic questions like, is this product is? And
Absolutely.
Before we roll, what is your product, so that I have some idea?
We're actually kind of an accessory to the garden roof world. We're the waterproofing underneath. So we're an absolute necessary part of the.
Okay, so
actually, you know what? Maybe we want to move. Well, this is going to be fun.
Want me to go that way?
Yeah. Do you want his? Do you want him into camera? Okay, so start out. State your full name, spell it for me, and your current job title along with your name.
Okay. I work for Suprema. My name is Rod Pierce. Rod, R-O-D. Pierce is P-I-E-R-C-E. My actual title is Technical Sales Representative for Oregon and Southwest Washington.
Probably won't go well. Okay, start by giving me your full name and spelling of your name and your title of your company and your job title.
Okay. Rod Pierce. Pierce is P-I-E-R-C-E. First name was Rod, R-O-D. I work for Suprema, USA. My job title is Technical Sales Representative for Oregon and Southwest Washington.
Tell me about how the company founded.
Well, actually, we're an old company. From 1901, we were actually founded in France. It started as a emulsion company, a coatings company, waterproofing. Turned into roofing very early on. We actually, our symbol is a mammoth because of the longevity of the mammoth and its durability of the mammoth in our systems. We moved over to North America in 1971. From 1971, we branched down into the United States about 1987. We have 5 manufacturing plants in North America and 14 worldwide.
At what point did Suprema begin to get into Ecoroof?
I would say the early 90s actually is kind of when the initiative.
Repeat my question back to me.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about that before.
When did Suprema become involved in Ecoroof?
I'll start with the
Okay.
At what point did Suprema become involved in Ecoroof construction?
Do you want me to rephrase it in the question?
Not exactly repeating back.
Okay.
In some form, so they know where you're
Give you an
coming
idea.
from.
Okay, absolutely.
That's the question. So around what time or what year did Suprema begin to get into Ecoroof construction?
Suprema follows the trends of the industry, and it was about the early 90s when they really got involved in the eco-roofs. We come from a waterproofing roofing background. We're an accessory. We don't really handle the plants per se, but we waterproof the roof, we keep the water out, and we give them a viable substrate to put their soils and their growing medium on.
So this is designed by committee, and at what point do you come in the design process?
Typically very early on in the phase. Typically they might have an idea that they want to have a green roof project. They'll bring us early on and say, this is our building, this is our ideas. What components do you have that'll fit this project? Do you have components that fit this project? And are there more than one option?
And what do you offer to them at that point?
Well, we have torch-down membranes for waterproofing under these green roof systems. We've got fully liquid systems, PMMA products, polymethyl methacrylates, and we've also got a hot rubberized asphalt, which is kind of the industry standard for green roofs.
Do you find that people shy away from certain materials? They say this isn't going to cut it?
It can depend on the actual building. I mean, what kind of access do we have? I mean, if it's not conducive to hot rubberized asphalt, say it's a 30-story building, there's other options out there where it could be a torch down or a liquid membrane. You can work in hospitals where you've got to worry about VOC issues. That's where the liquids come in.
Give me the a soundbite version of each of those different products you discussed.
Okay. The liquids, or the polymethyl methacrylates, are a quick flash liquid product, very, very durable, almost like a structural roofing. A lot of detailing can be done with them, and because they are liquids, it's very easy to do those tight details that you can't do with some of the membrane products. The torch down membrane roofing, we've been doing that since our inception, really, since 1901. That's kind of our specialty. We've manufactured torch down membranes for years. We use them in bridge deck waterproofing.
What is torch down membrane?
A torch down membrane actually use a hand torch with a propane tank attached to it. You're applying heat to the back side of the membrane, and as you're heating it up, you're rolling it in and getting it tight, and you're getting full adhesion to whatever deck you're on.
The other two types?
We actually offer hot rubberized asphalt. That is, like I said, the industry standard for green roof applications, just because of its robust ability. Well, it's very robust, it's very thick. You're looking at 215 mil system, where some of the other systems that are involved in these green roofs are 60 mils, 80 mils. So you're 3 times the millage right off the bat, at least. You know, if you want to do it right, you want to do it once, you don't want to have issues, you use hot rubber.
And then how do you fit into the whole conference? I mean, just as a vendor, or are you a presenter as well?
More of a vendor. I've done some presenting as well. My background's in air barriers as well.
Let's try. If you take it from the top, I've done some presenting, but usually my role is you're controlling the answer.
Okay, absolutely.
So what's your role here at the conference?
More as a presenter. Excuse me.
Okay, my role here is.
Okay.
So what is your role here?
My role here is to actually be a presenter here standing at the booth. The presenting, we do some presentations. We actually have specialized national guys that come in and do our presentations. So I'm more of just a local role, a face to the industry, or face for the company.
What's your impression, of other vendors and the presentations you see? What's really stood out to you?
It's a good show. A vast selection of all the suppliers you can really get in the green roofing industry, from plants, from accessories to waterproofing, solar panels. There's all types of guys here. It's a good show.
What are you seeing in the past 2 years in this market? This will be kind of the wrap-up question,
Yeah.
so you can take it any way you want.
Portland is a very green climate market. Our weather is conducive to these type of systems. I think it's going to keep going down the Ecoroof road, and we're going to see more and more of these products put on our buildings. And that's the way the design team is going.
Is the money there in the state and local budgets?
That's to be seen. I think it is there. It's just a matter of, I would say, prioritizing what we're doing.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, they used it like they built the road and they drove over it as a facility. I said, no wonder. So we actually moved the ship. And I had another project where they did that and they installed it. Structurally, the soil was gone. Right. So we had to
Yeah, and you couldn't, I mean, you'd be hard pressed to compact something.
Yeah.
So it's
I've got a little something like this on my roof.
like sedums and stuff.
Did a little mound in the top, And so I did. They saw a presentation a couple of weeks ago, and they have regulations in Europe that.
Go ahead and keep talking.
I'm sorry. It's in Portland.
So rarely do people ever stock the product on hand. So it's really based on they order only what you need.
Okay, do you have an idea what the square footage cost of this system is?
Probably is going to run you about $230 to $240 right in there square foot for that portion of the assembly.
American dollars?
Mm-hmm. From this point of view, and I haven't quite heard everything, so.
I decided that I just want to transfer kind of like the way you answer.
Sure. My name, yeah. Well, the reason is that we can get that on the editing for a caption.
Oh, okay. No, it's Mark Sandin, MarkSandin, and I work with Casella Durkin. We're a company that actually our headquarters is based out of Erdeke, Germany, and we manufacture in Beamsville in Canada, so Ontario, an hour north of Buffalo, New York.
Is this your first time at the conference?
This is the first time here at this conference. Yeah.
What have been your general impressions? What have you done since you've been here?
Talk to people like you. No, my impressions are it's a good conference. Actually, probably what enticed me
if
was.
you can look at me, it'll like a better rapport with the camera.
Okay, it was the conference wasn't expensive.
Well, we don't care.
Okay.
We got money to burn.
Oh, okay.
So tell me what got you to the conference and your impressions of the conference so far.
Actually, really two things. One was it happened at a time when we're working with another company that's going to work with us in the field on garden roofs, and they're doing the waterproofing end and writing a warranty to cover the extent of the term that an architect would want, and we're providing then everything else above that in regards to the lightweight assembly, for the soil, right?
Yeah.
So that was the main reason that I was here, and that's something, just discussions that have been completed recently, and we've been working on this for about a year to find another partner to work with in the United States, and so they're our partner.
We'll get shots of this later,
Sure.
So don't feel like you have to look down at that.
No, that's fine.
Because we have a shot of you look. No, I mean, so we'll actually cut to shots of this.
Okay.
Describe the assembly or how the product is constructed. I know it's hard not to look down while you're doing that.
Well, the product, our portion of the product itself is to create a vestibule to retain water. So that way you can go to lightweight soil assemblies, right? So you don't have to build up your roof deck. And then with just a lightweight soil that can't mean about 4 inches, that can't retain quite a bit of moisture, you have a vestibule holding water that the roots can then grow into. So you can, with certain types, predicated on your climate and conditions and temperatures, you can actually select sedums for plants that would then be able to live through the year on an annual basis without needing more watering, just because there's enough water that's retained in those little vestibules.
And the selection of the material is pretty crucial to the survival of plants at all. If you select the wrong material, they're just not going to...
Well, the selection of soils and the plants, that's true. And that's where, like they have at the show here, that's where you find the people that know the soils that they need for this area. According to the FLL guide that's produced in Europe in regards to garden roofs, that's pretty much the Bible for garden roofs.
And what is the FLL guide?
Well, it's a guide really describing...
Can you give me the FLL guide is? That's the repeating back.
Oh, well,
so what is the FLL guide?
Okay, the FLL guide is really a guide that was written in Europe on designing, building, constructing garden roof assemblies, right? So these garden roofs predominantly started in Europe and have come over to the States. It's not that we haven't done them since the 50s, but we haven't done them in more of a massive approach that we're looking at now. I'm sure mayors of cities have been hearing, gee, you need to get into garden roofs because it's all about storm drainage and retention of water and evaporating it back into open air rather than having facilities that are overwhelmed with the amount of water, right? And so those assemblies we now are able to do. Different manufacturers have put together materials to do that in a lightweight fashion to existing buildings, but also to new buildings where then you don't have as much of a construction cost, or it doesn't go as high because of the assemblies otherwise being engineered to hold greater weight, right?
Do you find yourself sometimes in the role of you're nearly a designer, or are you just always a vendor?
No, we're not. We're a manufacturer, so we don't put ourselves in the role as a designer. In certain areas of the building, if we see something that's not designed appropriate to our type of maybe natural climate testing or assembly testing, then we'll always bring that to the attention of the architect, right, or the engineer, and let them see our data. But it's really their decision. I mean, we'll provide support for what we know happens, and it's their decision as to whether or not they want to go according to our details or something otherwise, right?
I'm not trying to get too far afield. At what point do you or your company get involved in the actual meetings with the architect?
Oh, we try to right at the front end. I mean, when we hear of a project or they contact us through shows like this, when they pick up materials and then give us a call, we try to get really installed in the process of the development right in the pre-planning stage, right? Yeah. It's better to go in then and look at all the different variables that you need for the building, for the climate location, for the necessities and drainage and whatnot that need to be considered, than to come in at the tail end of the project to do that.
And what's your biggest project or the most impressive that the Delta Systems? Do I have the correct name?
Well, Delta is the name of our product, right?
Yeah.
So that would be the branding of our product. So it's not.
Is Cosella and Durkin the correct name?
Cosella Durkin is the company name.
In the United States, what has been the largest or the most impressive Cosella Durkin?
For a garden roof?
Yeah, and then you can kind of repeat back my question, or you don't want to go in that direction?
I can't really. Yeah, I can't tell you we haven't done that much at this time in the way of garden roofs in the United States, because we just introduced this here within the last year.
Why don't you talk about that, about the rollout? And there, if you can, give me the feedback, my question, your answer. Tell me about the rollout in the past year of garden roofs for your company.
Well, for our company, the rollout of garden roofs and why we started doing this is that we began seeing in cities, major metropolitans, a movement by architects and by the city planners themselves to want to move into garden roofs. Plus, we do a lot of work with the Department of Energy and testing of other systems, and of course, garden roofs has been a focal point even for them, as well as other types of assemblies for roofs to save energy, right? And to create, in a sense, more open spaces for those little animals or birds and whatnot that we've displaced, and to make it really more friendly, more of a European type of feeling to the community. In Europe, the company's been very involved in garden roofs, as well as other projects that we haven't been as involved with here in the United States. And although this started earlier on than we came into it, there wasn't really as much belief in Europe that we would jump into it in the United States as quickly as we have. And so it's been adopted at a much faster pace, and that than we realized, and it takes time to bring over products. You bring them over and you run your testing, and you start working with your branding and your distribution and your pioneering to architects, and that actually takes years. And so we started this earlier than bringing the product over, just really about a year ago. So in a sense, we're behind the curve. There's a lot of experience with the company, but we're behind the curve of what's already in the planning stage now, I think, for garden roofs. That being said, this is still kind of a new upstart, here in the United States. And so if you go down to San Francisco, I think there's quite a bit of acceptance by smaller architectural firms in putting these into residential spaces. So just even small 300 square foot above grade, you might say, patios that are garden roofs. It's pavers, it's plants, it's the whole outdoor living effect.
Great. I think we got it. So the last question, which is going to be kind of a short answer, but you can stretch it out. That was all about your company. This is more about your impressions of what's here.
Sure.
And sure, we're showing it to them on camera, but you're kind of experiencing it here.
Right.
So it's sort of a global question. So, So feel free to kind of bounce around. And all I'm going to ask you are, what have your impressions of the conference been? As a first time, participant.
Sure.
Okay, so that's going to take folks a little bit away from your company, but we've got a lot of good stuff in your company already.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Okay, what have your impressions been of the conference so far, and what have you seen?
Actually, my impression is I know it's a small conference. I mean, it's by scale of that of which we normally attend, but you have everything you need here by the different manufacturers and vendors and applicators to do garden roofs. And so, if you're a person, a residential individual, or even an architect in the area of Portland, and you wanted to learn more about not only the different assemblies, but also perhaps even the soil providers, sedum providers for the plants, even perhaps installers, different waterproofings that you could use, and drainage techniques. This is a good place as even a starter, or otherwise, even when you're advanced, looking for more advancement in knowledge, to even come and visit. So although this is small, you still have all the ingredients here that you really need to know to get into garden roofs. And so is it valuable for me? Sure. Because it only takes a few players for me to start working with here in Portland that for me will start the seed to the future, right? So we'll start doing more garden roofs in this area.
All right, thank you.
So, okay, thank you.
It's all improvised.
Okay, we're ready.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
This is our garden roof, so it's a very lightweight assembly, which is this material. So you have a root barrier, a vestibule to hold water, a geotextile. You have your soils that go on top. Underneath all this would be your waterproofing and perhaps your insulation, all right? So this will come into for a weight of approximately 12 to 30 pounds. These are the materials that it takes to accomplish this arrangement right here. We get into drainage materials if you want to go from extensive, in other words 2 to 4 inch planting material, up to intensive. So we have those drainage materials. Brochures, of course, that describe our products. Another company, Versaflex, that we work with to do both the insulation, polyurethane insulation with a polyurea waterproofing. And then, of course, a quick course on how to install these materials or what you actually need. And that's in the little presentation that's ongoing.
We're good.
Slow down.
Yeah, I don't want to go too fast.
Remember, peel it up with the scissors.
This keeps like, oh yeah. Well, it keeps like bumping it up, down.
Give it a shot.
Okay, no, let me do it. You good? But it keeps squeezing down.
I've had it right at the 45 degree because then it's harder to get your hand in there with the roller.
Yeah, it is. That's not good enough.
So, kind of what I'm looking for is, I really want to know about your product, but then I'm going to try to figure out.
So I should do that. I worry about
Certainly. But it depends if you're going to do a lot of them. You spread them aggressively. Yeah. Right? They'll benefit from that, but they don't.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Your name is? It's okay to look away a little bit, but are you rolling?
We're rolling.
So David, give me the correct spelling of your name and your official job title and the name of your company.
My name is David Gilmore, Gilmore. I share that name with David Gilmore of Pink Floyd, lead guitarist. Some people say the best guitarist in the world, but that's a separate story.
And the name of your company?
Eterra.
Eterra?
Eterra is the green roof division of Northwest Horticulture.
And where are you located?
We are located in Mount Vernon, Washington, and we also have another facility in eastern Washington outside of Yakima.
What got you to this conference?
This is a very good congregation of people that are interested in green roof technology of all forms. There are a lot of professionals and vendors and customers and interested people from all over the region.
What we really want to talk about in this interview is sort of the biology of green roofs. And remember that a lot of the people that are watching this don't have any exposure. They read about green roofs in the Oregonian, but it doesn't go into it in much detail. They don't really know what kind of plants are up there. They're lucky if they even know the vendor, or they remember it the next day. So give us an overview of what, in a downtown metropolitan area like Portland, what kind of plants are going to go on there and why are they selected?
One of the most commonly used plants, answering your question of what kind of plants are best, we see a lot of sedums used, and this is for some certain reasons. One is that when you put soil up on a roof, you have to be very careful about weight. You can't put too much because it's just too much weight for the roof to support. So typically the soil layers are very thin, 2, 3, 4 inches of soil, and sedums are particularly well adapted to that very shallow soil layer. Also, when you have a very shallow soil, it tends to get very dry in the summertime, and it can also get quite cold in the winter. And sedums are also very tolerant of soil that gets very dry or very cold. Sedums are also very tolerant of wind, which, I mean, you get up on the top of a building and you can have twice the wind that you have down at the ground level. So,
can you define a sedum for a layperson and where a sedum would occur in a natural environment?
A sedum is a very common class of plants found worldwide. It's a particular type of plant that stores a lot of water in its tissues. So this is part of the reason why it can go for long periods of water without rain or irrigation, and this is part of what makes it well adapted to a green roof. Typically, where you find these plants that we use on the green roof is in similar, very harsh conditions, like mountainous areas where it gets very cold and dry and windy. We have different green roof plants that come from places like Korea or China. And really this is what we try to find, are these plants that are used to stressful environments where life is difficult, so that you can put them on the green roof and they will survive.
Describe how you come in, or your company comes in the partnership with the architects. What point in the design process do you come in, and how do you know that your voice is being heard? I mean, obviously you know your voice is being heard because they're going with your recommendations, but there's a lot of give and take. So describe, that part is kind of mysterious to a lot of people. They don't.
Well, I tell you, this whole green roof business is really quite complex, and there are a lot of people involved in the decision-making process, and the architect and the landscape architect is really where a lot of this begins. Sometimes the building owner will have some significant input, but we like to talk to the landscape architect and the regular architect at the very beginning of the process and communicate that we have a certain type of plant available. It's just like with sedums, there are probably 600 different sedums, and it's impractical for us to offer so many sedums in commercial quantities. But we'll pick out one of the best red sedums and one of the best blue sedums, and we can go to the architect and say, these are what we have available in large quantities, ready for shipment, that would be very good for your designs. And the architect can specify, we want to use such and such a type of sedum because he knows that there's a good commercial supply available. One of the other things that we can help in the design process is there may be an architect that needs some support for a particular application or problem, like shade. Maybe there's a roof that gets a lot of shade from an adjoining building, and we can help him select plants that are better adapted to that particular requirement of the job site.
Then let's kind of jump to the other part, which is the delivery or the fulfillment. You've got to show up with your sedums and your other plants and install them. Talk about a typical installation day or installation process from the point of view of success, obviously.
Oh, sure. And this is one of the complexities of the green roof business that requires careful management. Typically what we do, we sell the plant component to the installers, and the installer can be like a roofing company. Sometimes it's a landscape company. But one of the things about green roofs, especially in a downtown setting, is you typically have to have a crane to get these plants up high. And we did a roof in Seattle. It was on a 16-story building, and the crane that they brought in to get these plants up there cost $3,000 a day. So you want to time it so that you match up with the crane. And plus they have to shut down streets, and it's a big deal. So you have to have those plants at the job site just exactly when they're ready to take them up to the top. This is one of the things about it. that you have to match delivery up with the crews that are ready to install that. And this is a little difficult. One of the other things that you have to do that is different about green roof plants, unlike tar paper or screws or shingles, they require protection from extremes of temperature. You have to handle them fairly quickly. Once they show up on the job site, you need to plant them. If you're not going to plant them right away, you have to take steps to make sure that they don't die in the few days until you do get them planted. And that can mean spreading them out so they all get light, or maybe watering them, something like that. But getting the plants from the nursery up onto the roof can require careful management.
I got one more question. It's going to be more like a wrap-up question. So you're going to have to kind of... Wrap-up question, okay. All right, talking about City College of San Francisco.
City College of San Francisco is really a very interesting project. It's 20,000 square feet. We've used our sedum tiles interplanted with California native plants. This roof was covered completely at the end of the installation. One of the really cool things about this roof is it's a beacon of education to the surrounding community. This is what is really cool, is that this is a demonstration of what can be done with sedums, with native California species, taking this barren roof and turning it into a very positive thing for the city.
Give me a description of the grand opening, or what it was like when people walked up on that roof, or went to the reception if there was one.
The people that were mainly involved in the reception at the time of completion were the people involved in the construction of the building, architect, landscape architect, the administration from the city college. And everybody was very pleased with the outcome and really surprised at how well the roof went together.
Okay, and then, sorry, I went to your shot.
This is one of our more popular products. This is a sedum tile. It's essentially sedum sod. We use this to lay on top of a layer of soil that's being planted. This is another form of the sedum tile. This is a selection of sedums designed to go into a very stressful environment called tough stuff. This is a common form of green roof plant. This is a 72 cell plug. You usually see these planted 8 inches on center on the green roof. This product right here is excellent for vegetating green roofs, especially in Portland, especially on the West Coast. These are unrooted sedum cuttings, very economical, very effective. One of our better sellers. We sell a lot of them.
And I think we got. You want to do it again?
No, we're good.
Did you start here?
I did.
You can just go ahead and pull this one up and just show me the back of it.
Go ahead and do your narration again, because this will be an audio track without your full body.
This is the back side of our sedum tile. It's a coconut fiber mat. Holds the product together, and it provides a surface that'll blend very quickly with the green roof soil.
You can talk over what he's doing.
Okay, you can, go ahead and describe this one here.
This is a 72 cell. This is a very common size for green roof plants. These are all sedums. This particular sedum is sedum Siboldia. Very attractive sedum. Also very drought tolerant. A selection of sedums in our sedum tile format that has been selected for performance and shade. This one right here, this is our high color mix. It's called Color Max. This blend of sedums is selected for maximum interest in color.
Excellent. Thanks. I'm Robin Cook with Sunmark Environmental. We are an environmental services company in Portland, Oregon. what I wanted to talk about today was the biological function of soils. We're at a green roof show in Portland, Oregon, and a lot of the pieces and parts that go into that are very important for many different factors. A lot of these factors could be stormwater filtration, reduction of runoff into our streams that create a lot of flooding. So the one thing that we deal with primarily is soil. So we blend a soil that is a lightweight aggregate along with organics. The reason that we consider soil such an important part of plant establishment is because it's right in here that the biological function happens. In this handful of soil, there's probably tens of billions of soil microbes. Without these, life on this planet wouldn't exist. I mean, we're pretty much relying on a very thin layer of topsoil. So how can we replicate that in Ecoroof or a green roof situation? A lot of that is done through the use of plants. Phytoremediation is a big word that is used in using plants to cure an environmental problem. A lot of that pertains to impervious surfaces in urban areas. And that's where the Green Roof Show and the Ecoroof program that Portland and the city of Portland is emphasizing is going to be good for everybody. One other thing I wanted to talk about was small business and how small business jobs can be created and green jobs can be created. With an economy that we have right now being challenging at best, I just want everybody to know that small business is wide awake. We are looking for innovative solutions to enhance the performance of these green technologies. And that's what I'm excited about being here with the City of Portland Ecoroof Show.
Go back into the soil technology and you know, what's actually in that composition and how does it withstand you know, being in an environment that maybe a plant doesn't really like, or you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, what makes it durable? What makes it actually what makes it replenish the environment?
Yep, that is a great question. Because in an Ecoroof or a green roof, we're putting plants in a situation where they're not necessarily going to thrive. We have very thin soils, very nutrient poor soils. It's just a tough atmosphere for them to grow in. So what we've done in this soil is we've taken lightweight aggregates that have a bulk density that is a lot lighter than topsoil or the regular dirt that you'll find just out in your yard. We've coupled that with organics, fiber-based, and also micronutrient-based. When I talk about micronutrients, I'm talking about mycorrhizae fungi, biochar, and microbes. That's what primarily makes up the bulk of our soil blends in Ecoroof mixes. And that brings to the roof the biological function needed for plants to establish, sustain, and thrive.
All right, almost like, David, give me a different shot, whether you have to move closer or whatever, just give me something different.
It is.
Okay,
so how to address that?
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is, like, how do you address, the question's going to be kind of long-winded, and then you're going to make it.
All right, we're rolling.
Okay, good. Working with engineers, architects, and specifiers is one thing that Sunmark has done historically for the past 20 years. What we do is we work with engineers to help them out, help them solve a problem, and that problem is generally stormwater related, especially when we're talking about buildings, new construction or retrofits. So we come to them, have a design parameter for a soil component or a soil-like component for green roofs or eco-roofs that can sustain the plant varieties that they use. Some roofs may have an intensive soil blend, which gives you a lot deeper plant media or a deeper soil media, so we have a bigger variety of plants that can grow in that. Some, because of weight constraints and the structural components, have to be very thin, which are extensive green roof medias. What we try to do is balance that mix within the architect and engineer so that they have a good plant profile and the soil mix that is specific to those plants.
And contribution.
And we're rolling.
To camera.
Great. Well, the development of eco-roofs and green roofs, especially in Portland in the Pacific Northwest, historically started about in the 1990s. One of the main things that's come about is the Clean Water Act of 1972, where we mandated that we need to clean up our nation's waters. When the Hudson River started on fire in, I think, 1969, that was pretty much a wake-up call for everybody that, hey, we have some environmental problems. How are we going to solve those? Well, green roofs and eco-roofs are one way to do that by trapping and filtering the stormwater before it hits into our streams and carries all the sediment and the debris with it. So what we see is that the future of green roofs in the Pacific Northwest is very bright. We're looking at it as solving an environmental problem and an issue that goes back to the history of our country in the Clean Water Act of 1972. So we're quite excited about the direction that it's going and look forward to being there in the future.
Good. I think we got it. Housing project.
The Pearl Family Housing Project was a project that we completed in the summer of 2010. Great project for us, great project for the city of Portland, and we're looking forward to doing many more in the future.
Tell me a little bit about that project.
That project was completed summer of 2010. I got to think about this because
I think we got it.
What do I know about it?
And then that's when we did up Clements Island on the Sound.
And then we'll talk commercial.
So how long does a eco green roof, how long do they last? Like 30 years or 25 years?
Well, there's no reason they should not last forever. The roofing will last forever because if you're gonna, the only thing that breaks down the roof, like you said, is UV. So if the garden blocks all that, it won't ever break down. Technically, it should last, 100 years. So, yeah, and this is our roof downtown. The ambient temperature below the soil, temperature of a black roof is 30. No plasticizers. And so it's brand new 80 millimeters. So that roof right. This is actually beneficial to the insurance company. They should want this. So it's only a matter of time. Once the powers that be, you know how that works, bureaucracy. It's like you get a bunch of people that.
This guy right here, there's a little mounting bracket. Just put two screws right on the bracket. Precast right on the prefab. And what do you think? Right. Well, whenever you're, I want you to through these people. You want to make sure that mounting goes. It's good. Products of a special class. You're paying them as well as architects, or sometimes better than architects. Oh, you could do that. As angels. Yeah, trade soil. Oh, please don't videotape me. Please don't. Yeah,
just an idea to get the burn to get you and this over there. It didn't work out. So I'm going to tell
Are
them.
you on PPE?
No. We're just we were hired to do this stuff too. It's really not going to get shown in this tournament, but I'll tell them.
So how would you use
No, because you. Yeah, we suggest use of course, this is on the but here's the they're just pressed together. Now, if you had a metal grid wall, you could just use this adhesive and press it on it too.
how long does
The water is drip line at the top.
Well, I'd do a drip line at each row. Well, no, they're blocked together. How do you get the drip line? The drip will still fit in together. By doing that, will allow you to get an even distribution of water. So that way, you'll get an even flow of water going all the way through. It'll continue all the way.
Could you use something like laser line?
You could, yeah, as long as you have the drip water coming out at each point.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you get about a 6-inch on center for the drip.
That's a great
way to do it. So
that is really great.
Very simple and easy. And then just being able to mount it, hang it up. By just having one unit, you can take it off the wall, lay it flat, water it real well, and then just hang it back up.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, and that's it's a concept that gets into having to consume.
I was wondering sunlight or any type of.
As far as UV and UV,
You know, because you're not really going to have anything exposed. It's all going to be plant material. It's a lifespan.
Super. Thank you very much. Nice to meet you. Appreciate it.
You guys enjoy?
This is a great show.
Thank you.
That actually changed a lot of conversation.
Back. I'll come right back. I just want to shoot this tape. You know, I got 2 minutes of tape, and then we'll just come back and start with a fresh tape.
Oh, okay.
So, watch your rains, either on one side or rains doesn't wash off, do it on the other side and make sure it's got symmetry. Probably have to, put some minutes towards this one.
Folding brochures.
Yeah, I'm always glad to give another minute. It's great. I printed.
Okay.
And then.
Yeah, the original
process. I didn't. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Where do you? We have it on the cardboard too.
Yeah, we can.
Still on top of it. And then anything else on top of it other than water.
Verdict's out. I don't know. This isn't the guy to ask.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Susan, how you doing? No. Yeah, I can point them out to you. Are you good?
So I dug it out. So.
Matt, I guess we got your name on the tag for correct spelling, but do we have your permission to use your likeness in this?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So, what is Ecoroof Portland, and what are we all doing here today?
Great question to start off with. Ecoroof Portland's our annual event to really to build awareness about eco-roofs in our city and to draw really the people that want eco-roofs into the same room with the people that can provide them. That's really the goal. And we try to complement that with a lot of different activities to build awareness and enthusiasm about these projects.
Okay, and why did you, well, now you're with the BES?
Yes, Environmental Services with the City of Portland.
And what are you guys involved with mostly from the day-to-day?
The day-to-day is really all about managing and operating our stormwater infrastructure and our sewer infrastructure for the city. So the majority of the work that the Bureau does is with our piped systems. I'm fortunate enough to work on a small team that does a sustainable alternative to those approaches where we actually do a stormwater management where it lands using plants and soil and innovative designs on streets and parking lots and rooftops. And so I'm working with the Ecoroof portion of that, and this event is really our big outreach event of the year.
Okay, and what made you select the presenters that you did, or vendors?
Sure. Well, the vendors were invited. We actually we invite all of the vendors to attend, and despite even these slow economic times, we've had a lot of response from all different types of people that work in the industry, and we're really here to catalyze the work that they want to do. So it's in our best interest to to really promote the event, to really promote to people that there is a good, a very talented group of professionals that do this work, and to do whatever we can to put the resources together to make those connections happen. You know, it's a really tricky part where the product you're trying to sell is on a rooftop that no one ever gets to. And so the more that we can show people how beautiful these plants are and all the benefits that come along with these types of projects, then the better chance we'll have turning someone who maybe doesn't really believe into it, you know, into a potential customer for one of these vendors.
Okay, and how about the vision from forward do you see with the city, like in 5 years?
It's a good question. We're looking at a lot of different options. I mean, a lot of the reason that we invited the speakers here today is because they have experience in cities, either in policies, with policies in cities that have moved a lot further past where we are today, or in the design world where they've been able to establish some much larger iconic projects. So I think as we see things growing here, our industry is still in a early adopter type phase, and we're seeing now a tipping point where we're seeing things kind of start to change a bit, where innovation is starting to take a more lead role, practicality is becoming important. We're seeing a broader selection of different types of materials and services so that interested clients have a lot more options, and on average we're seeing that affect the cost to the property owner, where it's coming down. And that can turn into greater demand, and will continue to boost the industry here. And as we see the industry grow beyond the limits of Portland, it's doing nothing but good things for business. So what we hope to see is that when the industry, or when the economy turns around, we'll have an industry that's ready for it.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
It's a wrap.
We're rolling.
Okay, and Wolfgang, if you could spell and say your name.
Yeah, my name is Wolfgang Ansel. I'm director of the International Green Roof Association. Yeah,
It was the last name. How do you spell it?
Oh, this is spelled A-N-S-E-I-L. Ansel.
Okay.
Ansel, yeah.
And do we have your permission to use your likeness in this Ecoroof promo video?
Yeah, of course you have. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. And all right. So, what brings you to Portland, Oregon?
Yeah, the invitation by the team here to give a presentation during the Ecoroof month or the Ecoroof week, and I want to share some information that we have about green roofs from other countries, from Europe and from Asia.
Do you mostly work within Germany, or are you European-based?
We are international association, so we have, of course, a background in Germany because Germany has a long tradition in green roofs. But we see very interesting initiatives all around the world, and so we go to Asia, we go to other countries in Europe, and of course to North America and South America.
What are off the top of your head, the differences between where the United States is in this movement compared to the rest of the world?
I think you have already a good tradition in green roofs, and you do this for several years, and you have outstanding projects and creative approaches to promote green roofs. So what is maybe still missing is just the standard way of doing green roofs, to apply it to a lot of buildings. So yeah, that is maybe something that we can exchange some information about that.
And in the international community, how do you see business, the capitalist side of things, the economy working in conjunction with eco-roofs? Are there any ways we could learn from that here in the United States on how to approach that subject?
Yeah, I think it's very important to include the economics within the green roof business, if I get your question right. So you can develop a very good green roof industry that creates a lot of jobs, for example, and then the prices will go down for all the materials. So that was the way in Germany that makes us so competitive within the international green roof market.
Okay. You got anything?
You're the producer.